Lord knows.
Well, we are live now, boys. I know
Oh Lord.
Yo,
anyone
yo.
who was in the chat can hear you guys talking the whole time anyway,
What's
which is
going
fine.
on?
Oh, I gotta pull the chat up.
Which is fine. Welcome, Super Timtendo. Thank you for patiently waiting for the stream to start. We got
Nintendo.
we're streaming to one viewer so far, so we got to I'm sure we will get more people. Actually, just
All right,
some big
one
news.
MVP.
I feel like we've made it on TikTok because today was the first time that we've experienced being what I'm learning is called shadow banned on TikTok. I posted part 2 of the Halo reaction with me and Steve and got 0 views for hours. And I looked it up online. I had to do all kinds of nonsense to get to reset the algorithm, and then finally we started getting views again. So I feel like that only happens to people who have a following. So,
I don't even know what any of that means.
I guess that means we're blowing up, huh?
Yeah. I didn't know what that meant either until today because I was like, why is nobody watching this video? But for Super Timtendo, since you're hanging out with us, as you can see, we got a couple of guests, some returning guests. What's up, fellas? What's up, Zuplex? What's up, Scythe? Pat?
What up?
Johnny Butters? What's going on, guys? So overall today, I wanted to talk about Halo Episode 3, Moon Knight Episode 2, a couple other any kind of like little announcements. We probably already heard us talking about Thor, Love and Thunder, and a special leak, apparently a toy leak, what Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher, I think is his name, is going to look like.
2 versions of Thor.
2 versions. There's Bro Thor. Bro Thor comes back. Not Fat Bro Thor.
They're Ravager Thor.
Yeah, Ravager Thor.
So what? Like, when you lose a lot of weight, you become a Ravager?
I mean, I guess he's joining the Ravagers.
Yeah, maybe he's just going to explore with them for a while. That's kind of so that tells you there that we're going to get some cameos from the Ravagers. I wonder if Sylvester Stallone's going to appear in Thor 4 then.
Maybe.
That's a good possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that makes me excited just to see him hang out with the Ravagers on their ship and do Thor-like things. I'm down for that.
Star-Lord has a new look too.
You gotta keep your hands up.
Well, we knew Star-Lord, right? We knew that the Guardians were going to be in Thor 4 at least for a little bit in the beginning of the movie. I imagine they'll probably be the opening scene.
They're really starting with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. I think which makes sense. I wouldn't want a whole movie of that. So I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I think I've been piecing stuff together a little bit. The very small amount of information that tends to give us. I'm thinking Thor's off with the Asgardians galaxy, and Jane goes looking for him in Norway. She's got cancer. She's into King Valkyrie, and then King Valkyrie somehow links her up with Thor. We get the whole Jane Foster with the Mjolnir thing.
But now, where does Mjolnir come from?
Did you just butcher that name?
So he
called it Mohilner. Mohilner.
Mjolnir?
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
He called it Mjolnir.
Jesus Lord have mercy.
We talked a while back about a different toy set that had come out. These were the Marvel Legends toys we're talking about now. There was a Lego set, and then there was also a cracked Mjolnir hammer.
Right. So we did talk about that. About
that looks like
almost like it's rebuilt instead of a new
so
version.
I'm thinking they go back to Eitri, the giant dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
Have him fix Mjolnir, which gives Jane her powers. Or still has Stormbreaker, and move on from there into Thor and Gore the God Butcher and everything like that. And I think we were talking about earlier that the Marvel Legends figure of Gore came out, and kind of our first look of Christian Bale.
Right.
Are we ever going to get a trailer? Like, what is going on with that?
It's got to be soon. They got a lot of stuff under wraps for this, which is
crazy, man.
I think they're
going to wait.
Range comes out.
Right. Honestly,
I mean,
Spider-Man No Way Home, I
Yeah.
think, completely changed how Marvel is handling their marketing. And I think from now on, for the time being, until they decide to change their minds, we're not going to get our first look at a movie anymore until the few months before the movie comes out. I think that they're just completely changing their marketing strategy. It worked well for Spider-Man No Way Home, so why wouldn't they try that for some other stuff?
I mean, we're under 90 days now at this point of when the movie comes out.
Isn't that crazy, though? So we're within a month of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, and within 90 days of Thor, Love, and Thunder. I mean, those are some big movies that are coming out this year.
Yeah.
Can we
I
appreciate the
keep
fact
hearing
that
every
Marvel
week they're like, it's going to be this week.
Wait, what'd you say, Pat? Say it again.
Can we appreciate the fact that Marvel isn't taking 2 years in between movies right now? Can we just find watching Avengers: Infinity War? Awesome. When's the next one come out? Why the hell have I waited a whole 2 years? What the heck? Like what? I mean, like, come on, guys. You're just actors. It doesn't take the.
Yeah, but we had to I guess with COVID, I guess pushed everything back. I feel like
COVID was a big
Marvel.
factor.
I think Marvel was smart though. COVID caused a lot of problems. Delayed a whole bunch of stuff, and instead of trying to force reshoots and do all these like crappy, recording from home kind of things and green screens and all that stuff, they said let's just wait, and then we're just gonna release like a big wave of everything, and they have, and I just feel like we're being bombarded. I mean, they can't keep up this pace. They can't keep up this pace forever.
I think they're almost done. They're almost done, if not done already, with Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they finished. I don't think they finished that.
They're almost done with Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, they wrapped filming on Black Panther, so we should be seeing more of that soon.
Too?
See, we'll probably. I bet you. One thing I like that Marvel's doing right now is they're giving us not even just always trailers, but they're giving us these like almost like featurettes where it's like behind the scenes. They kind of just give us some info. They don't really show us anything new, but we just see that it's almost like a reminder that these things are being worked on, and they haven't forgotten about it. So I liked the way they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's going back to the toys that we've. Back to the toys that we've seen is that Thor's got 2 costumes, and we talked about the Ravager one. The other one is the blue and gold, which links to All-Father Thor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could have a scenario here where Thor plucks out his other eye to gain all ultimate Odin power.
Can you imagine? That'd be sick.
Pretty cool.
That'd be sick. I'm honestly with the cast that's returning and the director and just creative team that's returning. I have zero. There's no worry in me that Thor 4 is not going to live up to the hype and exceed what we're expecting. It's going to be a great movie. I'm just curious. Let me ask you. I kind of pose this question to everybody: is this Chris Hemsworth's last movie as Thor, or do you think he sticks around for more after this?
No,
he'll be around.
Yeah,
I think it's the last solo Thor film that he will appear in.
I could agree with that.
His character of Thor will still be there because I think in the comics, Jane becomes Thor and he becomes Odin's son in the comics.
Okay.
So
Allfather.
Yeah, that too. It's like the same thing. So I think that he will end up being like that. And if you watch like some of the animated shows with like Young Avengers and stuff like that, he's still around. He's just much older, and he just makes appearances. Right. So I think that could be what they do with Chris Hemsworth, and they just kind of have him like, oh, Avengers movie, Hemsworth. Okay, solo Thor film, Jane Foster. So, I mean, I don't know.
I disagree with that. I don't think she's sticking around to be the new Thor long term. She either dies at the end of this one. I'm leaning more towards that happening, or she somehow loses the powers and it's fixed. I don't think long term they want to keep Natalie Portman as their Thor for this version of the MCU.
I don't think she even wants to be around that long as Thor.
I don't think she does either.
Let's not forget she didn't want to come back. Whatever they offered her a good story. She didn't want to come back.
They have to do.
They offered her the hammer.
Yeah, I feel like the whole meeting went with like Takai Waititi was like, Natalie, come on, we want you to come back, and she was like, it's never happened. And he's like, what if I make you Thor? And she was like, okay, I'll do that then.
Yeah.
And then he probably turned around to like Kevin Feige and was like, please let me, like, don't say no. We got to make her Thor. Or maybe Kevin Feige just knew he trusts him and he just kind of said, do what you got to do.
Or Kevin
Kevin
Feige planned this out 20 years ago and just was like,
yeah,
make this amazing movie series, and I'm gonna have Natalie Portman as Thor. Like what? I don't put anything past these people right now. I really don't.
I mean, Feige's been working, and you can kind of tell with all the movies is that he picks very specific in the comics that were big, like talking points or big hits or anything like that, and then finds a way to mold his story to get to that.
Yes,
he really does. He absolutely does.
So like Jane Foster, so well. Jane Foster becoming Thor in the comics was a big moment, even though it didn't last long because those books spiked and dropped almost immediately because no one wanted it. Everybody thought it was going to be like a 2-month thing, and then it wound up being for way longer, and no one wanted it anymore after the first like.
It's funny, just like when you think about it, the genius of the MCU in general. It's like it's taking these characters that didn't do well in the comic book realm, and then turn them into these giant characters on the movie side, which then in turn makes them huge characters in the comic book and video game realm. Like, everything is just kind of, one hand is just feeding the other constantly with Marvel. It's really a genius just business strategy, that clearly only Kevin Feige knows how to do.
Started like that,
right?
Because like if you like a lot of people like we've talked about this before, me and you, Chris, where at the end of the day, Iron Man was like a C, maybe D-list character,
right?
Now he's the linchpin of the Marvel universe.
Right. He's arguably the most important character in the MCU, or was anyway. I mean, obviously now.
And so from the beginning, Feige started with characters that no one really like. He didn't have Spider-Man to start with, right?
Right.
Spider-Man and Wolverine really are Marvel's two biggest sellers. Deadpool.
He was forced to start with Iron Man because that's what he had the rights to.
Right.
He could have started with Cap, but he started with Iron Man.
But
really, Favreau was the one that started with Iron Man. But
I think. Well, you had the animated series of Iron Man, which was, it was a little older series. I think that came out in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s.
That was It
was late
a while
90s,
ago,
But that when like, Marvel was animating every piece of their property.
Right.
Yeah. There was a deal show. It doesn't mean it was good.
I used to love the Iron Man show. I used to wake up and watch that every day. That and the old Spider-Man show, the actual Spider-Man, not like the Amazing Spider-Man, not like whatever. Yeah. I'm talking the Spider-Man show from like 97, 98. That Spider-Man show.
But at the end of the day, like Iron Man wasn't a huge draw.
Right.
As far as comics were concerned, anything like that, even the cartoon, I think it only did 2 seasons, maybe.
Well, the whole Avengers team really wasn't anyone that was making people run to the store to buy comic books.
No.
Thor, Captain America. Everyone. I think people knew who they were, but no one really gave a shit that they were like in a storyline.
It wasn't like Justice League that had all these like compelling storylines. The Avengers themselves, like their storylines were always kind of like flat.
Right.
You had Infinity Saga, but that was more of a Marvel Universe thing. That wasn't strictly the Avengers.
Right.
It's
funny when you go back, if you read the Infinity Saga and just the whole like storyline now in the comics, it feels so far removed from the movies because there's so many more characters involved and it's such a major moment for literally the entire universe, and for people who only watch the movies, it's really just affects. It sounds bad, like I'm downplaying it, but like a handful of characters. It doesn't affect the X-Men. It doesn't affect these characters that, as kids, we loved. So it's really a testament to how well they do. And then it's also it just kind of reinforces how bad. I don't know if it's Warner Brothers or if it's DC or who it is, but it's really reinforces how bad they are. That they arguably have the more famous characters available to them, every single character they want, and they can't string together like a trilogy that hits the same kind of highs as Marvel movies do.
It's a mess. Like we were just talking about, that Aquaman 2 revealed one of their ones.
Yeah, another shark.
It's going to be
Spoiler alert.
Carthon the shark. It's like just had King Shark,
right?
The Suicide Squad movie, which arguably was one of the better parts of that movie.
100%. I can agree with that.
You're gonna like try and like redo that in a more vicious, like weird type of, I don't know, man. Like it just seems like they're rehashing it. They're like, oh, it worked in Suicide Squad, it'll work in Aquaman 2.
Right.
It seems like such a studio decision, and like they gotta stop.
But that's the problem. That's the problem.
Discovery
with DC
needs to fire everyone in the DC studio team. Like,
I feel like that's the problem. Everybody. I feel like that's the problem with DC right now is you have too many studio executives' hands in the creating of their universe.
Yes.
Look at what Disney did. Disney owns the rights to Marvel. What they do, they take a guy like Kevin Feige who has a great creative mind and said, you know what? Go to work. You don't need our approval for anything? Go to work. Right. Oh, you want X-Men? Cool. We'll buy Fox. Like, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what happened.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? It'd be really cool if I could have Wolverine. Done. And then everybody's like, what?
Deadpool just win $1 billion. Let's buy them too.
Own Spider-Man. Like, I'm just waiting for it at this point.
It's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen. Especially every time there's a Spider-Man that Kevin Feige's involved in, it does phenomenal. $1 billion. Mm-hmm. Then there's a Spider-Man property that doesn't have Spider-Man in it, and it takes place in the Spider-Verse, and all the critics do is say how trash it is. Besides, the exception to the rule is the Into the Spider-Verse and most likely the Across the Spider-Verse.
I was literally about to say that.
But I mean, no one's even interested anymore. The moment you say that it's not really an MCU Marvel thing.
I'm really nervous about Madame Web coming with Sony in control of it.
The problem is the movies still continue to perform fairly well in the box office, even though the critics and most fans don't like it. So they're going to continue to make the movies. In general.
Just the story, the content in general, I'm just nervous about.
What's crazy though, just speaking about Spider-Man, what's crazy is that like the little injection of mystery over, does Morbius take place in the MCU? Is there, is Toby coming back as Spider-Man? Is Andrew coming back as Spider-Man? Like that was enough to kind of get a lot of people excited for another movie that didn't have Spider-Man in it. Then the movie came out and they just confused everybody even more with the end credit scenes, bringing the Vulture in and sort of teasing a Sinister Six, but not really because we already got that in No Way Home, basically. So, like, they're another one. They're just like Warner Brothers. They're just kind of all over the place. You could tell it's a lot of studio executives who are like, oh, wait, people say, I saw on Reddit somewhere somebody like this. Let's just make that the main focus of our next movie. And it's like, that's just not what we want. You know what I mean?
Like, the other thing that Feige's done is instead of for individual story, he's reached out to comic book creators that have been writing these stories for decades and gotten their input and their advice and made them co-writers on a lot of these movies, to the point where now that's how we're able to see these live action comic books come to life.
Right?
Warner Brothers has never done that.
No.
That's why I'm hoping Discovery like really takes control and like fixes it and lets people who actually appreciate the DC universe and then take the realm or the helm and actually run with it, kind of like how Kevin does. But obviously you can't go to his level yet. You got to prove that you can get to that level, but at least like give us something that tells us you care about these characters.
I think the main difference, if you really just kind of step back and just look at the MCU as a whole versus every other, DC and Marvel and even video game movies, just kind of take all those things in together. One thing that MCU or Kevin Feige or whoever's responsible does is he picks these like iconic images. The best example I can think of is Captain America and Iron Man fighting with the, Captain America's holding the shield and Iron Man's hitting it with the laser. And he says like, this needs to happen. But that doesn't mean that we just jam it into a movie. He wants to have a narrative reason, a real build up, and like make you kind of see that scene and almost forget you're seeing a comic book scene because it just makes sense that it would happen. You know what I'm saying?
He has plot continuity.
Right.
That's what it is.
That's 100% what it is.
Plot actually makes sense.
100% what it is.
Like okay, I think most of us would agree here that maybe not. I mean, maybe I'm alone in this boat. I think Henry Cavill was a great Superman.
I like that.
In my opinion, the best.
I enjoyed his Man of Steel movie. Batman vs Superman was not a bad movie until Martha. Like what?
Right.
Who in their right freaking mind looked at that script and saying one name is gonna stop this all-out war? Like what? Yo, whose idea was that? Because you're fired, okay? Look, if that moment...
I hated the Lex Luthor choice, too.
But there was a lot of decisions that really weren't that great. I mean, but the thing is with that Martha scene, the problem is if you have to explain what the real meaning of the scene is, you failed. You've immediately failed. You didn't do your job as a filmmaker.
You have to have another supporting actor come in immediately and be like, his mom's name is Martha.
Right. And honestly, I'll do you one better though. Batman vs Superman wasn't a bad movie up until they showed Doomsday in the trailer. I remember the first time. I remember hearing rumors that Doomsday was in it, and then the new trailer came out. I was all excited, and at the end of the trailer, they flat out showed Doomsday, and I remember throwing my hands in the air and being like, "What the? Why would you show us that?" Number one, in the trailer. Number two, how did we get to Doomsday already? Arguably one of the best storylines of Superman when he dies. It's in his second movie, and the second movie is shared with our introduction to the new Batman.
Right.
And then also you're introducing Wonder Woman.
You basically have a Justice League movie. You have a Justice League movie without calling it the Justice League.
Right.
And then you immediately kill one of the lead figureheads to the Justice League.
We can go all night about that, man. I freaking... There were so many things that frustrated me. Even like the fact that Superman, he sacrifices himself, right? And you're supposed to be like, oh man, Superman's dead. But in the same movie, they give us that little hint of the gravel or dirt floating to basically say, relax, people, he's not really dead.
That
he's
never paid off.
That it never paid off. Like, what was the point? What was the point of killing him? Then immediately showing us he's alive.
How they brought him back.
Right. Then they brought him back, because the Flash touched a box with electricity as they put it into some goop. It's just like...
By the way... you know what?
We're getting
that guy, Ezra Miller, is
immoral.
Let's just keep riding this. Let's ride this DC train right now. Ezra Miller was already not a great Flash. He was already not a great Flash.
Exactly. He had a couple quirky, funny moments that was like, okay, that's the Flash. Because if you watch, if you read the comics, you watch the animated series, the Flash is funny. He's quirky. But he's not just downright, stupid.
Right. And Ezra Miller was just for lack of... I can't think of a better way of saying it besides just saying he was a silly bitch. That's just what he was, the whole movie. And honestly, this is how DC instantly shoots themselves up if they just announce tomorrow that Grant Gustin is going to be the Flash in a Flash movie from here going forward.
I would love that.
You
love it.
What I don't
100%.
What I don't get, it really racks my brain, is DC already has a giant fan base in their DC universe on the CW, and nobody expected the CW shows to be good. What'd you say? It's dwindling. No, it's dwindling. Yeah, they may have missed the boat at this point. You know what I mean? But you announce him as the
Flash. They already had the Green Arrow. They have their Flash.
Right.
Like you have these characters, and
they built out this world.
If your movie character can't beat the CW one,
right.
You have a problem from the jump.
And think about how excited you guys. I'm sure you guys watch all the the crossover events for the CW. I forget which one, but the one that was, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Ezra Miller as the Flash ran into Grant Gustin as the Flash. Crisis. I mean,
Crisis. Yeah.
So they've acknowledged now that these two characters exist. Clearly, Ezra sucks and nobody likes him. Get rid of him. And Grant Gustin, I guarantee you, even if he's getting tired of playing the character, if Warner Brothers or whoever was like, yeah, listen, we're going to pay you a lot more money and make you the face of the Flash franchise.
There's no tired of playing the character when they back the fucking money truck up.
Right.
Together.
Right. Let him start a brand. Do Flashpoint. Obviously, it's going to come out, right? Give us Flashpoint. At the end of Flashpoint, just do a reshoot real quick with Grant Gustin. Let him kind of, I think, Scythe, you maybe said this on your podcast, actually, the Multiversal podcast from last weekend. Get Grant Gustin to just appear in an after credit scene and be like, yeah, guys, literally just talk to the camera. I'm the Flash now. Don't worry about Ezra. Yeah. And I'll be like, I'm in now for the next DC movie. Like,
listen, the Flash is arguably like God level superhero.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
no,
100%.
100%.
Powerful superheroes 100%. In DC's universe. Right?
And he was dumbed down for Justice League.
Right.
He was made to look
terrible.
like...
Well, not the Zack Snyder Justice League. If on the Snyder cut, they actually did him some justice. And they actually, pun intended, they did him some justice. Like,
you need to do that,
I didn't mean to. A Freudian slip. But they made him a much cooler character. I did a whole video. It's on our YouTube somewhere of just explaining how the Snyder cut was way better than what we got. And one of them was the Flash. I mean, they really gave him the power level he should have had from the beginning. And they made him one of the most important parts of the group, which is what he should have been. He should have been like that from the beginning.
Look, I'm still upset that we never got a true Man of Steel 2. Because, at the end of the day, I want to see Henry Cavill go up against Brainiac.
Right.
Zorro.
Yeah.
I mean, anything other than, God for the 1,000th time, Lex Luger for the 1,000,000th time. Give us something different.
Lex Luger.
Yeah, I'm about to say, he said
Luthor, sorry.
Lex Luger. The perfect elbow is fine. I wouldn't mind seeing Superman go down with a perfect elbow. Is it the perfect elbow? Was that his finisher?
Oh, yeah, the torture rack.
Yeah, the torture rack. That's what it was. Yeah.
I just want if DC decided, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Ezra, you're out. You can't keep out of trouble, and you were kind of not a fan favorite anyways. Grant, you're in. Henry, everybody seems to fucking love... Oh, excuse my language. Everybody seems to love you. Bring you back. You're in. Let's see. Batman. Robert, you're fired.
Yeah.
Leave. Bye. Out of here. Go back to Twilight, you...
Strongly disagree with that.
Get out. And bring me... You know what? Bring me Ben Affleck back. Bring me Ben back. I would rather have Ben over this... I'm vengeance. Like, okay, cool. I can do that too. Give me a cowl. Give me some dark lighting.
But why not do what they originally said they were going to do and have Ben Affleck as an older Batman that's kind of been through it and is kind of ready to retire, and give us Robert Pattinson as an upcoming Batman that's kind of learning. Maybe he doesn't have to be Nightwing. I don't want to say Robin because I'll get ridiculed.
No,
but you know what I'm saying? Like,
say Nightwing.
Like, but Nightwing would be great. I would love that. But you know what I'm saying though? Like, you can narratively do it in a way where people who have watched all the movies and have invested the time and whatever don't feel like they're being left out.
How about instead of trying to shoehorn all these characters together, take your Batman universe that's now started with Robert Pattinson. You build around that.
I'm okay with that.
Scott Snyder in charge of it. You put Scott Snyder in charge of all the writing. He's been writing for Batman for over 10 years now. He's written some of the best Batman stories that we've gotten in the last 20 years. Right? He's created the Court of Owls. He created Death Metal. He created Heavy Metal. He created Endgame, Zero Year. Right? So put him in charge of your Batverse.
Right.
In Jeff Johns to write a Superman script.
See, I'm okay with...
Have somebody else help him out, Hollywoodize it, whatever you got to do.
We all know I had my issues with the Batman. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't think it was as great as some people say. But I am fully on board with them if they announced tonight or tomorrow, like, the Batman is now the center of a new DC universe. We're going to build out from there. I mean, because if you think about it, when Iron Man 1 first came out, we got the end credit scene, but otherwise the movie was a standalone movie. There really weren't a lot of Easter eggs about all these other things going on. It was literally just Iron Man in his little world doing his little thing, and all we got was at the very end credits teaser with Nick Fury. do the same thing with Batman. Batman 2, whatever they call it, do a Court of Owls, and then give us some sort of teaser at the end that just says, look, this is the beginning, but we're going to grow from here. I'm okay with that. I'm fully okay with that. And at some point in Flashpoint, we do need to see Nicolas Cage in a Superman suit because it's criminal. It's criminal that doesn't happen yet on the big screen.
I think you got to put somebody in charge of it. You know what I'm saying? Put Scott Snyder in charge of your Batverse. Yeah. Jeff Johns to take care of Flash and Superman. I mean, you
have them work together, right? To tell these to build out this universe, 100%.
Yes, yeah. Have Jai Lee come in, have Jim Lee come in. You have brothers. Basically, they're so embedded with DC Comics. They bring in any of these writers, any of these creators that have been creating comics for decades.
You make that your brain trust. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Marvel had 100%. It for the longest time. Marvel had that group of people that basically made
Jeff Loeb,
final decision on everything. And like I know eventually they ended up getting having to kind of disband that so they can kind of open it up to different directors, whatever. But like
they still bring them in.
They still bring them in exactly. They don't have that group that's all powerful, but they still have a lot of sway and a lot of opinion and whatever. They know the characters. I mean, they know the characters in and out. Like that's what we need.
They brought Mark Waid in for Hawkeye series. You know what I'm saying? Like they're bringing in the guys. Like they're picking which generation they want to base these movies off of, and then bringing in the guys that created them to help them bring it to live screen.
Right.
It's a genius way of doing it, and the fact that Warner Brothers can't get out of their own way, do it that way because they're the biggest movie studio ever, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
I guess
they're still clinging to like we made Batman in '89. We know what we're doing.
But I guess in the end, the thing is, Marvel made the first bunch of movies on their own, essentially proved that they knew what they were doing, and then went to Disney and basically said, "Look, we'll sell to you, but if you're going to try and take control, then it's not going to happen."
Marvel was almost bankrupt.
Right. That's the thing, though, too. People forget Marvel almost literally didn't exist anymore. So they had to, out of desperation, they basically were like, look, if Iron Man doesn't work, we're done. And they hired the guy who's basically got the golden touch, Favreau. And he was like, yeah, I got this, guys. Don't worry. And then Disney went to him for Star Wars and said, look, our stuff has been kind of crappy. We need a new character. And he goes, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll take it from here. And he gave us a Mandalorian.
but that's what DC needs. But it's like Zuplex said, it's completely true. Like, why not, bring in people that have been, busting their ass, writing these characters, and then stick to one story. Not like Batman versus Superman, where you had 3 storylines going on at once.
Right.
Which made no sense.
And the problem is you can build to that. You know what I mean?
If you're comic book guy, there were 3 stories going on in that movie.
It's not
100%.
If we're talking Batman vs Superman 2, I think the problem is that it's not just the fact that they bit off way more than they can chew, trying to introduce so many things, but Zack Snyder is pretty much known. He's universally known for having these movies that tons of character building, some great he redoes the panels from the comic books perfectly on camera, but the movies are so long and it takes a long time to get to the big action scene. And in a movie called Batman vs. Superman, what's the one thing that we really only got 5 minutes of? Batman versus Superman. They barely talk to each other on screen. We got so little interaction with them for an entire movie built around this battle.
Yeah.
They said it 1,000 times.
They screwed that
Give
up so
us
much.
Dark Knight Returns.
Yes.
They'd given us Dark Knight Returns and Batman vs. Superman. The whole landscape of everything would have changed.
100%. 100%, because if you remember, Batman vs Superman, as bad as it was, still did it was almost $1 billion if it didn't hit $1 billion.
Yeah, listen, man. Batman's always going to make money, no matter what. People want to see.
It just goes to show you how excited people were for this Batman and Superman on screen together in live action. You know what I mean? It didn't matter how bad the movie was. Weekend after weekend, people were still going to see it, just because it was, as far as they knew, the only time they were going to see that happen.
You got 3 characters in all of comics, arguably, that will always make records. No matter how good or bad the movie is, they will make money, and that is Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man.
Yep.
Those are your top 3. No, any way you look at it, people are going to have other favorites and everything like that. Those are the 3 that are going to bring in money, no matter how good or bad the movie is. Spider-Man movie could drop next week. It could be hot garbage, and everybody would still go and see it because it's Spider-Man.
you know what? You say that with those three. I'd even throw Wolverine's name up there. Think about a lot of these. Think about like the Wolverine, where he goes to Japan. That movie had some cool scenes in it, but was not exactly a great movie. Still did good numbers.
Chris loves that movie. Don't start a fight in here.
It won't no fight.
I didn't say it was a bad movie.
No fight, but
I did. I'll say it's a bad movie over and over.
See, I won't. I
all
can't
of
say
them
it's a bad
except for
movie.
Logan.
I can't say it's a bad movie. I definitely did love it, mainly because it was the first one to actually show his claws with blood on them after he stabbed somebody. Which, every time he was on screen and he would stab somebody, in my head I was like, "Where's the blood? Nothing. Not even a bruise on your fist." Like
he's so agile. It's just so quick.
Yeah.
He doesn't get any blood on it.
I'll never forget. Just speaking of Wolverine, I'll never forget.
When they turned Silver Samurai into a Transformer.
Yeah,
Well, listen.
That's the part where I lost it.
Wait, go ahead, John. Go ahead, Butters. What's up?
No, like the action scene of Wolverine was cool as hell. But I mean, if you're gonna follow the Wolverine Japanese storyline, I mean, I think you should have followed it a little bit more closely to the comic.
Well,
and you can still had your twist here and there. But yeah, with the Silver Samurai turning into a Pokemon, basically, if you want to just call him that.
Pokemon.
I thought that was fun.
I mean, listen. In my defense,
a much better analogy. Pokemon. I don't know if I can.
In my
just I don't know if I can get with that.
In my defense, though. Well, hold on. In my defense, though, there hasn't been one X-Men movie that's actually done the comics justice. So I wasn't expecting the Wolverine to also, except for Logan, I should say. Let me take it back.
I'm about to say Logan.
But before Logan is really, I should take it back. And maybe Deadpool. There hasn't been an X-Men movie. Even the good ones. X2 didn't do the comic books really justice. You know what I mean? Like, it was a good movie because at the time we weren't getting good comic book movies. That's really what it was. And the Wolverine's first berserker scene in the kitchen of the X Mansion was people. I remember being in the theater and people being like, "Oh!" Like, and I'm like, he screamed at the guy and stabbed him once. So what do you? There's a scene where he grabs a few people's toes and just tosses them like onto the second balcony of the. It's not that good. Rewatch it now, it's not that good. Iceman's powers were cool. The opening scene was cool.
For clarity's sake,
the hint for Dark Phoenix, I guess, was all right. But sorry, what's up?
Domestic, 132 million. Worldwide, 415 million.
What is that? What movie is that?
It was the Wolverine. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I mean, you might be able to put him up in that top echelon, but I don't think he's not doing Batman numbers.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to do Batman. He's not going to do Spider-Man.
Box office.
No, but you know what though? But I will say though that if they were to announce Hugh Jackman returning to a Wolverine movie, like let's say Kevin Feige, they announced they're going to do a brand new Wolverine movie, and they got Hugh Jackman to come back for it. Even if it wasn't that good, I still think it would do some ridiculous numbers just for that. Just for that alone.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
If Kevin Feige announced tomorrow that they got Hugh Jackman signed on to play Wolverine for one more movie at least, that movie is breaking records.
I think that
movie is going hype train to the moon.
Honestly, if they want to make money, if the goal is to print money, then they have to just get it over with and announce that Deadpool 3 is going to feature not just a cameo of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is going to be a part of the movie, like a main player in the entire movie in Deadpool 3. Then
I don't want to see it.
Talk about printing money. You don't want to see that? I would want to see that. I would want to see that for sure. 100%.
I promise you, Ryan Reynolds calls him at least once a month. Be like, "Hey, Hugh.
Oh yeah.
Just checking."
He's like, just making sure you stay in shape because I'm still working on it.
So my thing is this, and as much as it would be great to see, even though I've said it time and time again, Hugh Jackman is not my first choice to play Wolverine. Although I loved Logan, I thought he was amazing in Logan. He played an older Wolverine much better than when he was younger.
Again, the original, all the X-Men movies, while there were some entertaining movies out of the slew of movies they did, they weren't X-Men movies really. I mean, they just had a few characters that were called X-Men characters. But if you watch the cartoons, if you read the comics, none of those movies really did the universe justice. You know what I mean? Except for maybe like
the MCU as it is. Like, I don't want to see Hugh Jackman come back to be our Wolverine in the MCU. I agree. 5 years old at this point. don't want to see it because
I agree.
we have to bring in somebody younger. We have to bring in somebody that can play the role because it's going to be an important role. It's going to be your Captain America.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The next decade.
So we can segue off of the Wolverine into Halo, because the lead actor, the actor who was playing Master Chief, apparently there was a rumor flying around they were going to pick him for Wolverine.
And I really hope they don't, because he's.
I would not watch it. Nope, nuh-uh. You already ruined Master Chief. Get the hell out.
Well,
he could be Sabretooth.
No.
He could be Sabretooth. I agree with you, Scythe. I think he could. I would still watch it, because at this point, if it's a Marvel or MCU property, I'm gonna watch it. But I'm with you guys. I don't. He is not a good choice for Wolverine.
He doesn't. Not the guy I want playing Wolverine at all.
I agree with you. They need somebody young. You know, I obviously, as a comic book fan, they need somebody who's like short and stocky. I want to see like a more physical Wolverine than the tall and lanky Wolverine. You know, but
Matt porn stash is too tall,
way too tall. And that's, you know what,
and he's lanky.
Pat,
he's too tall and lanky.
Pat, you're absolutely right, though. You're absolutely right. It's a good segue before we went into our rant about how bad DC is, and then just started talking about random stuff. We were supposed to talk about Halo. So that's a good segue. Let's talk about Halo. And now, since I already know, if anyone was listening during the wait for the podcast to start, you probably heard everyone's opinions. And but I will say, I actually really enjoyed episode 3. I thought episode 1 still the best out of the 3. Episode 2, really big drop. Episode 3 was much better than episode 2. Still not perfect.
You liked it because he showed his ass.
Hey, listen, that is America's new ass. If he's going to be the new Wolverine, that's America's new ass.
That's not America's ass. That's the galaxy's ass.
That's Master's ass.
Let me ask you a question, though. Like, just I'm being dead serious with this question. Was it necessary to show us his ass for like an entire minute?
No.
Like,
no.
It's necessary to show us his face. Now they're showing us his ass.
Well, you know what's funny? So watching, if anyone's following us on TikTok, you probably heard Steve already say this. But when the episode started, they show him in a he's like in like a hospital gown almost. And I made a comment like, "Oh, look, he's in even less clothing, less Master Chief clothing or armor." And Steve goes, "Yeah, watch episode 5. He'll be just fully naked." And then later on in episode 3, he's in front of the camera. I'm like, dude,
fuck ass. And you're like, oh, okay.
For a second, I thought he was going to shove the knife up his ass to take the little pellet out, because otherwise, why was he naked? There's just no reason for him to stand there naked.
He just lifted his shirt up.
It's like, what is this like supposed to be like a play for the chicks that watch the movie, or the women that watch the movie to be like, oh, look at this big old fine man.
I'm sure that's what it was. I mean, look, I thought Scythe, you said this on the Multiversal podcast on Friday or Saturday when you released it. This Kwahan, or whatever her name is, Kawan, I could care less about her. All she does is slow the momentum of the show down.
I can give two shits about that character.
I was much more into the
storyline is useless.
It's excuse me, it's useless. Sense. Obviously, it's going to tie in at some point, but like seeing Master Chief talk with Dr. Halsey and seeing Cortana almost be born, I guess, for lack of a better word. I was into all that stuff. I actually found it interesting. I liked the way they introduced Cortana, and I didn't think it was necessary to show them shove a needle in her eye in order to transfer her brain power. But then it kept cutting to this Madrigal storyline, and I'm just like, oh my! Every time it just died. It just killed the momentum that they had built up.
If you listen to my podcast on Sunday, I basically said like, you could have had her in the first episode like they did. And then we could have never seen her again and be perfectly fine. And then they could have dropped her back in at the end of the season when, like, hey, there's a battle going on and she rebuilt the rebellion. You know what I mean? Like, she was the one that rebuilt the rebellion, and she's helping the Spartans or Master Chief in some way.
I should have asked.
Not just
that would have been more. Yeah, that would have been more redeeming for her character in that way to me. But
did you guys all watch it?
Following her
I'm assuming you guys
following her just takes so much away from the reason why we're watching the show.
It really does. Yeah. Again, said this.
Her whole storyline.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Her whole storyline was a producer saying, We need a B storyline.
No, not even that.
Come up with-
Not even that. It was a producer saying, "Wait, we need somebody for the fans to connect with, to be their introduction to this world. So let's make up a human character."
Because we're connecting with Master Chief left and right because the dude's half naked every goddamn episode.
It's the Mortal Kombat problem. We said this before. It's the Mortal Kombat problem all over again. For some reason, writers in Hollywood
that would have
or whatever,
made sense.
They think that
would have made sense
people who
if
don't
he
play
never
the
takes
games
the
don't
helmet
connect. I agree. No, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. But even with the helmet on, again, Mandalorian shows you it was a brand new character that nobody knew. No Star Wars fan knew of him. No non-Star Wars fan knew of him. No sci-fi or Star Trek or whatever fan knew of him. Didn't matter what you knew about sci-fi. You did not know who the Mandalorian was. All we knew is that Pedro Pascal played him and that he was a Mandalorian bounty hunter. He didn't take his helmet off for all of 5 minutes in the final episode. Not even 5 minutes, I don't think, of season 1.
It was like 30 seconds.
And unanimously, there's not one person you know who watches Mandalorian who doesn't like it. Everyone likes it. Everyone connected. There was no, human character that was supposed to be explain things. No Cole Young.
Well, yeah, but
Grogu, yeah, I guess.
Like, that's a big difference.
Say that again? You broke up a little bit.
Mandalorian was well written.
Yeah.
So as it went into the scene where he was taking his helmet off, that went perfectly. But now
it made sense to take the helmet off at that point.
Right. That's the problem, And again, I made this joke earlier about Master Chief still didn't put the helmet on by the end of the episode. What made me laugh was that we don't see him in the armor. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched it. You don't see him in the armor for the entire episode. Then at the very end, he's in some sort of virtual reality, like hologram thing. And for whatever reason, he's got the armor on. No helmet. The helmet he's holding to his side still. Because we got, he can't act with his body, apparently. We have to see those baby blues. But like, I thought to myself, well, why put the armor on then? If you don't need the helmet, if you don't need all of it, why put it on? If you're going to be consistent. Like to me, it bothers me that he took the helmet off, but I'm not a giant fan of the games. I don't know the lore as well as like some of you guys do. So I can get past it, but you got to be consistent. Why is he putting half the armor on for a virtual reality tour, but no helmet? Why is he, they flat out said, Zuplex, you pointed it out. They said in episode 1, they were tracking him through his helmet. He took the helmet off. They couldn't track him. Then in the very next episode, he puts the helmet on and nothing happens until he flicks a switch in the ship. It's just like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Listen, right now what we're watching is a mid-budget. It's like every other mid-budget sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Master Chief added into it.
Yeah, and
all it is.
It's very possible too that I enjoy it. I'm enjoying it as much as I am because it's a video game show.
With Master Chief.
Right. And I want a video game property to do well. You know what I mean? So I'm probably looking for reasons to like it. To be honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I'm enjoying it.
A lot of people liking this thing online.
Oh, a ton of people.
Definitely a struggle at times to follow the bullshit story that they want us to follow, but like overall,
it feels like filler.
I'm
it feels like filler.
It. Yeah.
If I could compare this show to something, so obviously I was on here for a podcast a couple weeks ago talking about like Marvel's The Defenders and like Daredevil and things like that. There was a couple of those individual shows like the first season of Daredevil to me was very like it built. It was very slow, and I was just like, wow, I really don't need all this filler. I know who the characters are. I know who Foggy Nelson is. I know who Matt Murdock is. I know he's blind. I know his dad was a boxer. Let's chop. And I think we're having the same experience because a lot of us come from gaming backgrounds, so we know the lore of Master Chief. We know where Cortana comes from. We know what she was designed to do. So for us, it's like, get to the point.
Right.
For the average person coming off the street that doesn't play video games, they're not going to know who these characters are. So I think right now, from a Halo fan perspective of the video games, we have to make it through this first season and hope that they don't royally screw it up.
Right.
And we have to see where they go from there.
I mean, now remember, they only got 6 episodes
left. It's the second season.
I have a feeling it's going to, though, because it's performing well. So it's going to get a second season.
By what metric though? Because like I don't see anybody being like, I can't wait to watch Halo next week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we're like, to Pat's point, we're probably talking to people who are fans of the game, and you're talking to somebody who knows it, versus a lot of people are watching that don't.
Objectively looking at this show, it's not even a good sci-fi show.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't. It's.
I'm enjoying the sci-fi aspects of it.
It's very hard for us to remove ourselves.
It's very much like every other mid-budget sci-fi show. There is nothing in this show.
But every other mid-budget,
first 20 minutes of episode 1. What was that, Pat?
Every other mid-budget sci-fi show does some kind of numbers. Think about how many sci-fi shows
on streaming
on Sci-Fi, the actual channel, that are just like they get like 2 or 3 seasons, and you're like, this show's like, I mean, it's all right, but it's not great. It's the same thing.
And that's what they don't have. I think this budget for this show from that first episode budget is way higher than any of those shows is.
Yeah,
I don't think it's pulling in the numbers into Paramount Plus they needed to pull in.
Well, so they already announced the second season. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, according to what is this? I'm on Cosmopolitan.com. But they said before the first season even premiered, it was already announced that a second season was.
That means they budgeted first. That means they budgeted.
It was the first link that came up, guys. All right, come on, give me a break.
It's so funny right now.
Show his ass, and he's on the Cosmopolitan already.
Yeah, exactly. It's just funny right now because obviously, as somebody who's played the video games, I've played every single video game. I've played Reach. I've played, ODST. I've played every Halo game, and for somebody like me, I'm just like, what? We had 10 minutes in the first episode which by the way, the introduction of Master Chief was flawless.
I loved it.
You just drop him out of a pelican, and he's like, I am here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And
that was the last time we saw him kick ass.
Right. And I loved it. It wasn't flawless, though. There was one point where he jumped across the street and looked like my nephew through an action figure.
His jumping.
I loved it. I loved it. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't flawless, though.
But we said.
And then the gun, when he throws the gun away, it's an animated gun. I'm like, y'all couldn't afford the $20 gun to throw in the dirt. Like, what? Good to animate it. But, like, his introduction and how he acted and how he, interacted with his team was great. I was like, oh my God, this actually looks like it's promising.
It was a great episode. Yeah.
Then he touches some stone and he turns into a philosophical dumbass. I see things.
Yeah.
Great.
I see my puppy.
You just took out an entire squadron of elites. Why do you give a shit if you saw a dog? What?
See, that's a problem though. If the first 20 to 25 minutes of the show is the only, I think, universally agreed on good part of the show, and we're already 3 full hour-long episodes in, you're making mistakes, And I don't know. I feel like I said this before when we talked about episode 1. Is like, I really think what they needed to do was give us 2 or 3 episodes of him with full armor at all times, focused on the mission. We see him do things that maybe are a little questionable about his morals, but we're kind of just seeing behind the scenes that he's programmed essentially that no matter what, you get the mission done. Then the whole him touching the stone and then not killing the girl and whatever, it immediately makes us a little more interested in her because we're now invested in him. It immediately it kind of earns him removing the helmet to earn her respect because we could see how people see him as a robot and not a human. And, they're rushing it. And I think Zuplex or Scythe, when you guys just said it, the one and only time that we saw him kick any kind of ass was in those first 20 minutes. And since then, it's just been him talking, Like I said, I actually was a lot more into episode 3 than I was into episode 2. But I felt like it was really more because Cortana, I like her intro. Yeah. That to me, like that's what kind of kept the show interesting for me. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen going forward. But I have a strong feeling that we're not going to see. I think someone's like Zuplex, you may have said the flood's not coming this season. We're probably going to have to wait till next season. I wonder if they're even going to land on Halo this season. I feel like they're going to maybe build up to it.
We already saw Halo in episode 3.
Right, in the flashbacks, you think? But you think he's gonna get there?
Yeah. I think that's going to be the Halo.
It might
I don't think
be,
he's gonna
but
get there this season.
I think we're gonna see it in the finale.
On their way there now.
Yeah, no, but see, I don't know. Something's gonna happen. I think
It's going to be the. And I'm using
we're
air
gonna see
quotes
it.
for anybody that's listening and not watching the video. That's going to be the Halo. Is the ring they were talking about.
Maybe like the ring
Yeah,
around
but
the planet.
He's
they were
going
on.
to he's going to that like bubble. What was it, like biodome?
Yeah, I forget what they called it. They
sense.
said it was on lockdown or whatever because of
Yeah,
disease.
where his
If you
parents
missed it,
were.
If you missed it in the episode, they called it the ring.
Right.
Where the parents were.
Yeah. Yeah, they said it.
Okay, I
They
missed
said it
that
very
then.
briefly when he was during the flashback, and they, you see him look up at the sky, and you see the ring.
They said it when Cortana was explaining what it was.
Right.
So
I missed that then.
here's an interesting little like fan theory for that. So obviously, the way that Halsey portrays it is that, it's like this installation that was on this barren planet, and they're trying to establish some kind of foothold on this planet. What if the planet is the ring?
It could
What
be.
if like the whole thing is that they found this ring, which if you play the games, obviously the ring has vegetation and everything else and nature on it. So what if the ring, they're like, oh well crap, we want to take a look into this. Let's try and establish a colony on it so we can study the ring. Then all of a sudden a plague comes in out of nowhere and kills the population. What if the plague is the flood?
Fly Life just let us know that he thinks it's trash.
Maybe.
Yo, Fly, what's good?
I mean, I agree with him. I think the series right now is garbage. I don't like the direction it's going. We need this next episode. This next episode to me,
right? This makes or breaks it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trash. This guy, man.
Oh, Cy is trash.
Series hinges also
what a jerk off.
No, Pat, I fully agree. I feel like the season's only 9 episodes long, right? So you have to either get the momentum going or we just kind of abandon the show. And 4 episodes in, if you don't kind of prove to us that you're going to give us what we really kind of want, which is Master Chief in armor, other Spartans battling Covenant, not just little clips here and there, then who knows how many people are going to watch.
Just give us battles. That's all we want to see.
And
Master Chief.
We're not asking much though. Like, give us one battle an episode. It's an hour-long episode.
Too much money.
Well, see, here's the thing. When you say like one battle an episode, okay, perfect example. My favorite part of episode 3 is the freaking hunters. That's the best part of the episode.
Right.
Because we actually see what the Covenant has. You see the most dominant alien species in their Covenant at the time before the brutes get there, but that's another thing. I mean, it's just like...
But that's arguably the most creative part of the episode. The way it's filmed, the special effects, everything looks good. It's intimidating. I mean... if you want to build up the Covenant and kind of, make us get scared of them, you've already kind of screwed it up because in episode 1 you showed us seeing Master Chief dominate them, and then you gave us one little scene 2 episodes later that kind of shows how tough they can be. You got to get a sprinkle more of that throughout these episodes if you want us to kind of, get involved. You know what I mean?
I feel like they did do a pretty good job in the first episode of like showing us like, oh, the Covenant mean business, because
they did, because they slaughtered the humans.
The sniper shot where the dude just gets absolutely evaporated. Yeah. That happened, and I went, oh yeah,
yeah, me too. I love that.
Awesome, like
I love that so much.
It's just because that's how they were in the games, in the comics, in the lore. The Covenant did not take prisoners. They did not care. They didn't care if you were a woman, man, or child. They just shot first, asked questions later. You were human. To them, you were nothing more than an ant.
I think my biggest critique with Halo right now is that I feel like they're trying to give us too much in the first season. This season should focus solely on Master Chief. We didn't need to see an origin for Cortana. We didn't need to see this human character or the origin for. Well, I guess the origin for I can't think of the character's name. The girl that's with the Covenant, whatever her name is, I can't remember it now. We don't
blessed one.
Yeah, I feel like we don't need to see the origin of her yet. Like they could have kept those mysteries alive and just let us focus on Master Chief and then maybe at the end give us a little more
Bet you
info.
her and
but
Master Chief are related somehow.
I kind of listen. It's a Paramount show, and again, these studio execs
related.
These studio execs love to take these big, massive universes and make it all about this one tiny group of 3 or 4 people. So I mean, you know that's it's gonna happen. Steve said he thinks that the little boy who kissed the girl is actually Master Chief. That he didn't die, because that was a surprise moment when it looked like that kid died. I was like, holy shit, that got dark. But he thinks that kid didn't really die, and that was Master Chief.
I agree with that.
There's a lot of kids in the show.
They do. At least 2 kids just die like out of nowhere, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, they had an Order 66 moment in the first episode.
They did. Yeah, they just wiped them all out. Oh. That's true. Actually, you're right. I forgot about that. In that like bunker, they just cleared out that entire room of kids.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, they're really going for it.
I do think those 2 kids are her and Master Chief.
I think so too, only because it
definitely possible.
It makes sense that you know, she has the power of touching that artifact and, you know, orgasming, and he does
Didn't
too.
They show him as a kid in the flashback?
They showed him, yeah, but I think older though. They did show him as a kid, but I think at a much older age than what that opening of this episode was. But I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong there.
Oh man, I like. Bokeem Woodbine's going to end up joining the Resistance and dying with Quan Ha.
Well, he's talk about a wasted actor and a wasted character. He's a great actor, and his whole character. I'm like, what is the point? What is the? I guess we'll find out eventually, but I don't know.
Yeah. He'll end up joining the Resistance. He's going to end up dying, and it's going to be this whole thing where he finally stood for something after leaving the Spartans.
Yeah,
this, that, and the other thing.
He's going to risk his life for Master Chief. Master Chief's going to take his helmet
off. The whole
off.
series is predictable for predictable sake.
I'll tell you what we're going to see. Yeah, I'm assuming you guys are all familiar with the big bug space movie, Starship Troopers. Yes. So Master Chief's going to be like, my helmet's malfunctioning. Bokeem Woodbine's going to be like, well, take it off. Let me see. He's going to take it off, look over and see that Master Chief's about to get shot, and dive in front of him and take a shot to the head. That's what's going to happen. And that's how he's going to die and redeem himself. And the acting is going to be just as bad as Starship Troopers. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, worse.
Is it just me, or is the guy who's playing Master Chief, does he look like he's constantly questioning whether people are calling his name? I feel like every time he turns around, it's like he's constantly just like, what was that? Did you say something? No? Okay. What was that? Did you say something? That's all. That's his look for everything. I really enjoyed
the whole 20-minute scene of him smelling the flowers and listening to cello music. That was a lot of fun.
All I could think about
that's what I want to see Master Chief doing.
During that, right. No, during that scene, all I could think about was him thinking to himself, like, what is this fun? I think I want to try this fun. Or even Steve made a joke when he sees the dog, like, who's this human on 4 legs? And someone's like, the dog, dude. Oh, I think I would try dog. I'm like, what? Like, there was a very like RoboCop feel to it. You know what I mean? And it's just like that's just not
worse than RoboCop.
Hey, listen, compared
RoboCop RoboCop is at least a classic. This is just
compared to this, the newest RoboCop is even pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
exactly.
So anyway, I mean, I'm still gonna watch. Obviously, like I said, I enjoyed episode 3, so I'll kind of give it a shot. We'll see what happens with episode 4.
I'm hate watching from here on out. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, you know what? That's fine.
Hate watching this series from here on out.
That's fine.
I wouldn't even say I'm hate watching. I'm interested to see what they do with it, because I think I was talking to Steven about it, and if you just go into it just thinking, okay, they're gonna piss you off, just watch the thing,
right?
Whatever, just watch it. Okay, it's not too bad. I want to see what happens next.
Listen, I went into it with the thought of they're gonna screw this up.
Right.
Everything that I thought they were gonna do, they're doing. Right. Like, hopefully they still make a good sci-fi show. He's failing at even that.
Yeah.
Well, so my only argument to that, though, is that I think it's a little too soon to say whether or not it's a good sci-fi show. It's only because right now the first 3 episodes have just been nothing but build up towards like something.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially visually, it looks pretty good. They're showing us a few different planets. Like, they're kind of checking off the boxes, which in itself is not really a great thing, because we've got so much good sci-fi out there. We kind of all don't need them to do that. But they're clearly building towards something. For me, it's like the way it ends is going to really determine if the entire show is good. If they don't give us, say, 2 or 3 solid episodes of what we want, then the whole thing was just a waste, and I probably won't even come back to a season 2.
But arguably, your first 3 episodes of any new series has to, at some point, grab someone's attention for them to come back for the 4th. They have failed to do that at this point. Honestly, if I missed next week's episode, I wouldn't even care.
Well, that's the danger, right?
Just so I can come on here and bitch about it.
No, but that's the danger, though. It's like
tomorrow.
Next one's tomorrow. It very much feels like you don't even have to watch it. Yeah, Wednesday.
It's Thursday. Tomorrow.
No, Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Moon Knight.
No, tomorrow's both. Wednesday is both shows.
No, and Thursday.
I don't think so.
Oh, it's Thursday? Oh, Moon Knight's tomorrow?
Moon Knight's definitely tomorrow. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm looking it up right now.
I'm pretty sure Halo's on Thursdays.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
Halo's on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Speaking of Moon Knight, let's talk about a series that's actually good.
Yes.
Talk about hate watching.
Let me pull that up.
Oh, man.
Let me pull up the images. Wait, hold on. Who's hate watching Moon Knight?
The idiot is speaking. It's the idiot.
I think Scythe was talking about us hate watching Halo. So basically, it's just me and Suplex. We're basically Chappelle's show with the player haters ball. He's bugging that.
Nah, I'm enjoying Moon Knight, but I honestly wish it was better than what we're getting.
So, again, I actually really enjoyed episode 2 of Moon Knight. I thought
I loved it.
The whole time I was thinking to myself, why are people complaining about this show? I freaking love this episode. I thought we got what we wanted. We got more Moon Knight. Yeah, but he's a great character.
But I don't think you're going to see him for the rest of the series now.
Yeah,
good.
See, I don't agree. I think we're going to see him. I think the rest of the series is going to be a fight between him. No, but I think they're going to be fighting for control, and I think we're going to see them kind of take over at different points. You know what I mean? But even if they don't, though, I mean, I thought Oscar Isaac as Steven was a very good character, very compelling. He was funny. The bumbling in it was good.
Yeah.
Seeing Mr. Knight now again, we're talking specifically. I don't know the comics, so the show is basically my introduction for Moon Knight. So I'm just kind of taking it as is, and I thought everything about the last episode I thought was excellent.
Yeah. So the Mr. Knight thing is it was created by Mark Waid, I believe, where he basically like Moon Knight's supposed to be Marvel's version of Batman, right? So and he goes in to investigate stuff. He's working with the police. He's dressed as Mr. Knight with the suit. And when he's jumping over rooftops, killing werewolves and shit, he's dressed as the full Moon Knight, basically.
That whole scene at the end. So, did you guys all watch it? Let me ask that question first.
Oh, I have.
Absolutely.
Like that whole scene, to me, one thing I wanted was I didn't want another cutaway every time Moon Knight came out. I wanted them to show us Moon Knight. You know what I mean? So I love, number one, that we got that. They didn't cut away this time. We got to see Moon Knight fight. I love, the way
he did do a cutaway though at some point.
When? Well, no, but
end.
that was but that he wasn't Moon Knight at that point. It was the Mark Spector character getting to Egypt apparently because I guess he has the Hulk power where he can just jump miles and miles at a time. But like the whole transformation when he's looking in the side of the bus and Mark is just kind of like, yo, like if you want to survive, you get control. And he says, fine, I'll take it. And then just turns around and transfers. Dude, I was so amped, man. I loved it. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, it was cool.
Ethan Hawke.
I think Oscar Isaac's doing an amazing job.
Both of them. Yep. Oscar Isaac's doing fantastic. Ethan Hawke is clearly loving playing the bad guy in the show. Like you can just tell.
He's chewing up scenery left and right. I love it.
And it's so captivating when he starts talking about it. When he starts doing his thing. There were some questionable things.
You believe that he believes he's doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
All the best villains, right? You can almost relate to them and kind of see where they're coming from. And it seems like he's kind of tapped into that same kind of thing where you kind of go, it kind of makes sense. But I love Steven's response of like, yeah, but kids, you're gonna kill kids, and he was like, well, yeah, and he's like, I kind of, you guys are okay with this? I kind of draw the line of killing kids. Like that was just a whole. That was a great scene. I love the one thing I question in Scythe. I know you question it too. Is the decision making with Khonshu? Like, are we meant to root for this guy, this god, or is he in the end a bad guy? You know what I mean? Like they, Right now they're making me just go, yo, he's a dick. Like,
so as I he's always been in the comics as like guiding force that Mark has to wrestle with morally.
Okay.
If he wants to go the full vengeance route Khonshu does, or if he wants to scale back a little bit. He eventually he's going to end up, I'm assuming, they play this in the comics a lot, where he ends up like disagreeing with Khonshu on a number of things and just kind of like going against him about stuff, and Khonshu just kind of lets him. Right. They almost have to work on their relationship together. Right?
Okay. So that's what they're going to show us in the show. Then is the two of them trying to
I'm assuming so.
Together.
Yeah, to me he's more like an instigator.
That's what it seems like. That's a good way of describing him.
Instigate, like
he kind of just talks
Egyptian
shit until
Venom.
you finally snap and do something.
Just kept poking at him. He's like here.
The Egyptian.
I'm not a huge fan of his look. Like the CGI is a little like wonky.
Well,
every time he comes on screen, but
reminds me of
Jack Skeleton.
No, Resident Evil 3. Help me out, Chris.
Nemesis.
Doesn't he have the coat? Like, isn't the
coat? No. You're thinking of Pyramid Head from Silent Hill.
Oh, Pyramid Head. Yes. Yeah. Silent Hill is what I'm thinking.
I was gonna say it reminds me of Beetlejuice. I don't know if you remember when the Maitlands do their when they do their scary face and Alec Baldwin pulls his face out. It looks like his nose out. I feel like I don't know. I'm not hating the CGI because with the Marvel Disney Plus shows, the CGI is it's not the movie level. It's all good, but it's also just a little lower quality. So I'm not hating it. This is kind of on par. I think they're doing a good job of shooting it.
Look a little wonky.
I hate his voice.
I will say, Scythe, in episode 1, I 100% on board with you. I thought the voice reminded me too much of Venom. Didn't like it. Episode 2, though, I didn't feel the same. I felt like, you know what scene really kind of fixed it for me was when Ethan Hawke is talking to Oscar Isaac to Steven, and Khonshu starts like making things move, and Steven gets scared, and Ethan Hawke's character goes, "No, don't worry about it. That's all he could do. He can't." He's like, "Don't worry, you can't do anything." Like to me, I'm like, okay, so that's his whole thing is about trying to seem scary, but he can't really do anything.
What's he saying about me?
Yeah, he's like,
"What's he saying about me right now?"
He's like, "Well, let me guess. You see him now?
He said something about justice, right?"
Yeah, like that kind of like verbal beatdown of Khonshu really, to me, made it almost like make sense that he would try to be so mean to his vessels because he needs them to respect him. So I guess that kind of fixed it for me. My problem with Venom is everything essentially. So we can just
can we talk about Layla being a badass? I thought she was a great character.
Great character. The only stupid decision she made was showing up with the scarab. When she goes, "I have it right here," I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like,
that was a bit stupid.
That was just like it just made no sense. Why would you do that? But
But seeing Moon Knight jump the rooftops, right? They got that shot that they showed in the trailers 1,000 times of him jumping in front of the moon. Yeah. Which they've shown in the comics 1 billion times. And then him taking the jackal and spiking him on the.
Amazing! I love that
spire. Scene. Awesome.
Like that one was pretty fun. I saw that part of that scene. That was pretty good.
That was amazing.
Like, if that's what we're getting for the rest of this series, I'm all in, bro.
Hell yeah! Like that's the kind of stuff though that I want to see more of. But again, we're 2 episodes into Moon Knight, and in both episodes,
we have only 4 left, right?
Yeah, it's only 6. It's only 6. But you know what though? But every show
now they're in Cairo.
Think about this though. Every Marvel MCU Disney Plus show though was only 6 to 8 episodes at the most, and every single one of them goes 4 episodes where it's kind of build up. The end of the middle episode, whether it's episode 4 or 5, is like some major thing happening, and then the rest of the show always picks up. The one thing with the Marvel shows, they seem to start off a lot slower than they end. This one, I feel like it started off really strong. So if they can stay consistent, then it started off strong. I think it's going to end really strong. So I'm loving it.
Besides WandaVision and Loki, rest of them start off usually with some big action sequence.
But see, I felt like Loki. Oh no, you're right. Yeah, no, they didn't start off with a big action sequence. They kind of built up to it. Yeah.
They start off with like a big action sequence, slow down for a few episodes,
right?
pick back up, like you said. Like Captain America: Winter Soldier, perfect example. Like that first episode,
right?
The first opening scene is him flying and fighting guys in flying squirrel suits. And I was like, they spent a lot of money on this show, man.
Right. And then
let's go.
And then it slowed down. It was still decent, but it slowed down a lot until I think it was episode 4. And at the end of that, you get U.S. agent, or well, I guess he was Captain America at the time, killing somebody with the shield, and it was just like a holy fuck kind of moment. And then from then on, the show was just intense. I felt, and it's my opinion anyway, the show was intense and it was moving along and the pacing was good. The one thing, so I feel like they're all kind of consistent in that way. Even What If,
was good, Hawkeye,
but then it picked up.
Hawkeye from 1 to 8 was just consistent the whole through.
I do feel like thinking back at all the MCU shows on Disney Plus, Hawkeye is up there for. If it's not my number 1, it's definitely my number 2. Like it was so good.
It's definitely up there.
It was so good, and I feel like people are sleeping on it for some reason because it's Hawkeye.
It's actually, I'm actually a much bigger fan of Captain America and the Winter Soldier than a lot of the other shows.
I
love those characters. I think Mackie does a great job. Sebastian Stan's amazing. I like that storyline a lot. But I mean, Loki's amazing. Just watching Hiddleston chew up scenery.
Right. I mean, I think my thing, if we're talking about all the different shows, I think the Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier, whatever you want to call it, I think my issue there was that show was almost. It was the first show to really connect to Iron Man, Captain America, to like the original characters, whereas like Loki was essentially a brand new version of Loki with a new storyline. WandaVision connected too, but in the end, like she wasn't one of the major players up until her own show, so like that felt like kind of a new thing that we were dealing with. But this was very much connected.
A major player going forward,
right? But I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier was connected to Captain America so much that it still felt like we were holding on to the past.
Winter Soldier is basically Captain America's rebooted origin story.
His origins. It's a new Captain America origin story, which I loved. I mean, listen, Falcon deserved it, and I'm excited for them to do a Captain America 4 with him as the main guy for sure. I'm excited to see Winter Soldier or White Wolf, whatever he calls himself now, come back. I'm excited to see U.S. Agent and whatever if they do not Immortals. What is it? Thunderbolts. If they do Thunderbolts, I'm excited to see U.S. Agent back there too. He was a good character, I mean, he was fucked up, but he was a good character. And
we've been talking about this for a long time that like it seems that Marvel is splitting their franchise into multiple different storylines and spreading their characters across those storylines, which makes a lot of sense. It's when you're bringing in this much content and these many characters, and now you're adding in with Moon Knight, you're adding in this more
like
horror themed, supernatural type of stuff. I mean, you can only think of where they're going to go with this with Midnight Suns or the Nine. I know we've said it every episode at this point. But you could bring Ghost Rider in now. You can bring in, you can have Moon Knight be the linchpin to all of that.
I mean, and I do think it makes sense because if you think about it, they're introducing the Fantastic Four at some point. We all know the X-Men are coming at some point. Clearly, there's a Spider World being built somewhere. It's like instead of having one like main group of heroes, they're gonna have a ton of groups of heroes, and then you can almost pick and choose which groups are gonna fight each other or disagree, or which groups are gonna be involved in this conflict and that conflict.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It kind of gives you a lot more real estate. Go ahead, Butters.
No, did you? Okay, if you guys watched episode 2 for Moon Knight, I noticed the Easter egg. It wasn't really that obvious, but like you really had to pay attention to it. So remember when he was in the car and there was a box behind him? If you looked on the label, it said Von Doom on it.
Oh, I didn't notice that. No, I did not. I didn't
notice that.
I saw it in one of the recaps on YouTube.
I did see in Steven's loft, he had 2 books on his shelf. One was the Wakandan King, and the other one was like the God of something for Thor.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I read a big article that basically pointed out that with Gore the God Butcher being introduced in Thor: Love and Thunder, and then also Zeus is being played, I think, by Russell Crowe, right, in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
And now we have the Egyptian gods in Moon Knight as a thing, and then the Eternals essentially were gods also, so they're going to be a part of all this too. It's like there's a clear kind of thread connecting a lot of these properties that don't feel like they're supposed to be connected. And again, this is what Marvel does so well. They don't jam it in our faces. They don't make it the main focus, or they used to, and they've learned how to do it the right way, where they drop these little breadcrumbs for us to go and find, but that's not the focus. And then later on, when a movie comes out that we're like, oh, I never thought they would do this character on screen. It could be like, yeah, well, if you look back 10 movies ago, we basically told you that was going to happen if you were just paying attention, And that's
Right.
this is, I think, why we all love the Marvel stuff so much right now. And as far as we can see, it's not slowing down anytime soon. I don't know how Marvel's kept this trend going for over 10 years, and they just don't look like they're slowing down at all. It's Feige.
So have you heard about
Feige's a magician.
Yeah.
QR codes that they've been putting into Moon Knight?
Well, doesn't it give you a comic book? I think I read
It's a
right.
free digital comic, but the comics that they've chosen have been Werewolf by Night number 32, which is the first appearance of Moon Knight,
Okay.
and Werewolf by Night number 33, which a lot of people are saying, is pushing for. I mean, we know that the Werewolf by Night Halloween special is coming. We're also going to get the Guardians Christmas special. We don't know nearly enough about any of this. If it's going to be a couple episodes, if it's going to be one long episode, what it's going to be. But the fact that they're bringing in Werewolf by Night means we're one step closer to Blade.
Hell yeah, man! I can't wait for Blade.
We're one step closer to the Black Knight. And with all the stuff they're doing with Doctor Strange, I have a real supernatural forming soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait.
I heard preliminary rumors of possibly Brother Voodoo making an appearance
in Doctor Strange too. That'd be huge. I just love the one thing I'm loving right now with just Phase 4 in general. When Feige announced basically all the movies that were coming in Phase 4 and 5, one thing that stood out was they weren't just resting on the original Avengers. They're continuing to introduce new characters, bring us in new directions, and I love that, honestly, because I'm one of the people who, as a Star Wars fan, I'm tired of the Skywalkers. I want new characters that don't have to do with the same 4 people that just seem to dominate the universe. So one thing I was afraid with Marvel was that it was going to be the same problem, where we were always focused on the same 6. And I'm glad they're bringing us new stuff. So I'm a big fan of any new character. I'm all in. I'm ready to kind of jump in and see what they give us with that, for sure.
They got plenty of characters that they can go with.
Hell yeah.
So we don't have to be. We talked earlier in this episode about how Marvel's really good at bringing us characters that no one gives a crap about. Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the best representation of that.
Yeah.
It was a comic that no one even knew of. Moon Knight is almost the same thing, because
Shang-Chi is one of them too.
Shang-Chi is one of them, absolutely. These weren't the linchpins of Marvel Comics for the past.
Right. I mean, I could say that I knew of Shang-Chi just because as a martial arts fan, I was interested in the comic. But maybe I could probably also honestly say I read a handful of comics my entire life that had Shang-Chi in them. Not even Shang-Chi comics, just comics that he appeared in. So, now that the movie came out, I loved it so much. I've gone and read a whole bunch of different Shang-Chi stuff.
I actually read a bunch only because I used to read a lot of Iron Fist, and Shang-Chi would always kind of be in Iron Fist books and stuff like that. And, I was a big martial arts comic fan also.
See, that's something that, again, not to get us back on the DC bandwagon, but that's something that they didn't do. Marvel announces a new character, and it makes me go, I want to read the comics and get to know the character. DC announces Blue Beetle, and it makes me go, it's about fucking time. I'll wait till I see a commercial or a trailer. You know what I mean? Like, it's just two completely different styles, I feel like, or feelings when they announce stuff.
For anybody out there that's looking to learn more about Moon Knight and read their books, I highly suggest Mark Waid run.
Yes.
Moon Knight. That run is a very good starting point for especially the Moon Knight that we're getting on screen. So,
not to kill the momentum by talking about this is a bad segue, by talking about DC. We have to talk about some sad news in the entertainment world. Announced today. Gilbert Gottfried has passed away at 67 years old. I mean, that's not that old. But he's passed, and he's gonna be missed because he was a funny dude. And just to be perfectly honest, I don't know. Do any of you guys watch the Angry Video Game Nerd on YouTube by any chance? or Cinemassacre. I've been watching that guy since he was doing it in like his bedroom in his parents' house, and he did an episode I think 2 seasons ago in his show where Gilbert Gottfried played a character called Fred Fucks, and he hasn't lost his touch. The guy was still funny, and it sucks to see him go.
The guy's hilarious, man.
Hilarious. So I'm gonna give a little toast to Gilbert Gottfried.
What was your introduction to him?
Probably.
I know my very first introduction to Gilbert Gottfried, I believe, was unless I'm completely wrong, but you can't really mistake that voice.
Yeah.
Was Aladdin.
Iago, right?
Iago.
Yeah.
Mine's a little older now. I'm a little older.
Yeah, mine is older.
Was it not Beverly Hills Cop? What freaking movie
Yes,
was
it
it?
is.
Is it Beverly Hills Cop? Is that what it is?
Cop 2.
Yes. Okay. That's the first time that I even like heard that voice. I was just like, what the hell is this guy? Like, you know, and then just, you know,
I was actually Problem Child.
Problem Child is another one. Yeah.
That was gonna be mine. Was Problem Child.
Yeah. Problem Child was mine.
I feel like a lot of people though, you almost don't even realize how many movies he was probably in for guys like us, like growing up, you know, a ton of voice acting, and he always brought that flair and that comedy, and you know, it's another legend that's just basically missed.
I mean, that just shows you my age when I say my first introduction to him was Aladdin. And everybody else is like, oh, and I'm like,
no.
Yeah.
No, I still have a video that I saved on my Facebook page to this day. Is when he was reading the lyrics of WAP.
I saw that.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
They say you're white ass pussy.
Yeah.
What?
Oh man, that's classic.
Yeah.
And that'll live on forever. Everyone to remember Gilbert Gottfried, but we're listening to him recite the lyrics.
Comedic legend, man. He's a comedic legend.
All right, boys. Thank you for taking the hour and a half with me. Thanks for those who tuned in. And we'll see you guys again next week on Tuesday. Just keep an eye out for the replay if you didn't get the chance to watch this podcast live. This will go up on YouTube Thursday morning at around 9 o'clock or so. And then shortly after, it'll be available on all the podcasting platforms. And if you haven't already, Scythe did his Multiversal podcast last weekend. That's available on the same podcasting platforms. Also on YouTube if you want to see the visuals that go along with the vocals. I think, Scythe, correct me if I'm wrong, the next episode will be next weekend. Not this weekend coming up, but the next weekend.
Yeah. This weekend's actually Easter, so happy Easter to everyone.
Oh, happy Easter. I forgot about that.
Easter.
It's good that you reminded me because I think I have some places to be this weekend, so now I got to get ready for that. And, keep an eye out. Again, we'll be watching Halo Episode 4. It comes on Thursday. And Moon Knight Episode 3 is tomorrow. So we'll just continue to do some episodic breakdowns for those shows and any new things. Hopefully at some point I go see Morbius, although I'm not really looking forward to it. And
hopefully we get a Thor trailer.
That's got to come soon, right? I mean,
That's a little bit about Thor. Apparently, remember they shared a photo of the director Taika Waititi, Chris Hemsworth, and the other actress I can't remember, and they're all holding up like their fingers.
Yeah, it was supposed to be yesterday.
The trailer's gonna be like 4/12 or something, like 4/6 something. I thought that was funny.
It was supposed to be yesterday if you go based off their numbers, but obviously we didn't get it.
That may have been the date of the toy reveals, right? Because didn't the toys reveal a bunch of reveals yesterday with the toys? Or today, actually, with the toys?
I think that the toys were leaked. I don't think they were revealed. I think they were leaked.
I don't know.
The toys leaked because they still doing the Lego run too.
Okay. Well, they're in the marketing has started in full swing. They're doing interviews now, so I mean, it's a matter of time before we get some sort of trailer.
I hope we don't have to wait for Doctor Strange. Like I said before, if we can get our 2-minute teaser and then Doctor Strange, they give us the official trailer. Right. That would be a lot better.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Say it again, Butters.
No, Scythe is looking for a snippet, at least a good
just something.
Yeah.
Honestly, all I need to see
teasers are trailers anyway. So if they can give us the tease and then give us a full blown trailer,
they don't even have to. All I need to see is Natalie Portman. I want to see the hammer, like Suplex said, kind of cracked or whatever, rebuilt on the ground. See a hand come down and pick it up, lift it up with some lightning hitting it, and then as the camera pans down to see who's holding it, it's Natalie Portman turning into her, Thor outfit, and then that's it. Don't show us anything else, and then we'll see the trailer.
Before we go. is there a cameo you want to see or think there will be in Thor?
In Thor?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Thor.
Warlock. I think they're going to give us Adam Warlock.
Well, but James Gunn said Adam Warlock is going to be a big part of Guardians 3.
Yeah.
That's why I think he's going to cameo in Thor.
Cameos, maybe.
I'd like to see Beta Ray Bill.
I would love to see Beta Ray Bill.
Oh, Beta Ray Bill was already in Thor not Love and Thunder.
Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok.
Well, you saw the statue of him.
Yeah,
Yes.
you saw the, but you didn't get to see him in action. That'd be awesome.
You know, I really don't know. That's a good question. I feel like there's so many choices of who I would want to kind of appear in the movie.
Hulk.
What about
Hulk
like
for
a
sure.
little tease of Nova?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Nova
was thinking that
Corps.
also.
Well, I think we'll get an Easter egg or some sort of breadcrumb that leads to Nova. Or maybe we'll meet whoever becomes
Guardian.
Nova eventually. But
yeah, probably Guardians. You're right.
Yeah,
Guardians for Nova.
it almost the thing is with the storylines, Nova has a much more thread with Guardians.
Yeah, as long as he's with the Guardians, anything's possible, I guess, until he breaks off and goes back to New Zealand or wherever the hell New Asgard is.
Maybe we get Hyperion. You know?
Oh my gosh, I'd love a Hyperion.
It's
There's
possible.
a lot of choices. There's a lot of choices.
Oh, everything is. This just in.
What's up?
Everything is awesome. Just posted a video about 4 hours ago with some sort of leak saying that the Thor trailer is going to drop on the 18th.
All right, so the 18th. Keep an eye out
Sure
when the trailer drops.
Let's see if that one's true.
Yeah.
For those who tune in, listen. If the trailer drops,
On 420 and call it a day.
yeah, the trailer will go up on the GGEN Facebook group immediately. We'll do reactions on YouTube for sure. I'll probably dissect the crap out of it on TikTok. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to all the different platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. I don't know if I'm missing any. And like I said, we'll be back Tuesday. Keep an eye out for the Multiversal podcast. And then not this weekend coming up. It's Easter weekend. It'll be probably the next weekend. And yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Episode 6.
GG, everybody. Happy Easter. And we'll see you guys next week.
Easter.
Peace.